Okay, so in this video I will talk about how you can start read more books. For example, next year, 2025. So in this video I will talk about 7 different ways that makes you read more books. The first thing and the most important thing is that you should stop watching television. You should stop watching TV and start reading instead. That is what I do, and I read 60 books this year, and this year is not even over yet. TV takes too much time of your life, so if you start reading books instead of having the TV on, so for example if you have a wife like I do that watches TV, I can sit in the same room with her when she watching TV and I can read my books in the same room, so we have contact and so on, so we can see each other and we can talk to each other. She watching TV and I'm reading books. That's a great way to start reading more books in your life. Another way is to start using portable e-readers like this, the ebooks Palma or the Big Me Highbreak that you see there. Or you can even use some smartphones. I don't usually recommend reading books on smartphones because of PWM and more that disturbs your eyes. But you can do that, or you can also use an old smartphone that you don't use anymore as a specific portable e-reader. So you can, for example, use this Nexus 6P as a portable e-reader, just using, for example, the Kindle app or co-reader app on this Android-based smartphone. And don't use anything else on this phone, just use it for reading, and you don't have any other apps installed, just use it for reading. That could be an option too. So if you start using portable e-readers, like for example my favorite, the ebooks Palma, you can always have it with you wherever you go. I have this in my pocket instead of a phone. I have it with me wherever I go, outside and inside. I have it in my pocket or in my bag, so I can easily pick it up and read a few words, a few lines or sentences wherever I am. For example, in a line when waiting for something. I can read on this one. Or for example, when I'm waiting in the car for my wife when she are shopping or something, I can read on this my favorite books and start reading, and everything works great on a portable e-reader that uses an e-ink display. So for those of you that doesn't understand this is exactly as a Kindle. It has the exact same display and an e-ink display as a Kindle or a Kobo e-reader, but this is in a smartphone form factor. So you can install, for example, co-reader to read books, you can use Storytel to read books, and you can use Kindle or whatever app you want to read books in on this portable e-reader. And that works great because you can sync what you're reading, your reading progress, in, for example, the Kindle app. So when you come home, you can use a Kindle Paperwhite, for example, or a Kindle Basic that I have here, and everything are in sync between each other. That works great. So if you start using portable e-reader, I'm sure that you will read more books than before. And if you are using portable e-readers that can replace your smartphone in a way, for example, the Big Me Highbreak, you can use with a SIM card, for example. So you can use this instead of a phone, or you can use the ebooks Palma with a wireless connection to your real phone, so you can have an internet hotspot on it and always have connection. Then it's important that you use these instead of a smartphone, so you don't use it for social networks so much, because with a black and white ink display it's not so fun to watch your Instagram or Facebook, for example. So it's important that you use an Android-based e-reader instead of your phone, your smartphone, because that will help you read more books instead of wasting time on social networks. So instead of wasting time on social networks or watching YouTube videos or whatever you are wasting time on, then use a portable e-reader or an Android-based e-reader that you can only read on, and maybe do some simple stuff like checking your email or comments on YouTube in my case. So you should never use a phone that you can do everything on, because that will make you waste time. You will use it for social networks, for example. I'm sure of that. And that is a bad thing. Don't use social networks, because that will waste your time. It will waste your life even. So if you want to read more books, stop using social networks and start using phones, dumb phones or e-ink based devices that you can use instead of phones. You can still send, for example, SMS messages on the Big Me High Break if you have a SIM card in it. If you want to be in touch with people, you can even answer calls with your telephone or the phone feature on this one. So you can still be in touch with people if you have this device and still use it for reading books, but it will not be as fun to use with social networks. Another thing you should do is stop listening to podcasts. I know podcasts could be fun to listen to, but if you have to listen to something in your precious AirPods Pro 2, for example, headphones, then you should listen at least on audiobooks and not on podcasts. That is also a way that you can help you read more books in a year. So if you want to read more books, it's important that you should stop listening to podcasts, even if podcasts could be fun and interesting. That is also a waste of time if you want to read more books. So stop listening to podcasts, and if you have to listen, for example, in your car when traveling to work or something, then listen to an audiobook instead, because that will help with reading more books. Another thing you should do is to read books when you have a break or are resting or something. So for example, at your lunch break at work, start reading books. You have a portable e-reader, for example, with you. Read a book. It's very important. So every minute you have left when you have a break or something, or when you have a pause or don't have anything to do at the moment, read a book instead. Read even on the toilet. I mean, that is also a break you have, so read when you are there. Another really important thing is that you should start reading books when you are in bed before you go to sleep. And then it's important that you use an e-reader that has some night light that filters out the blue light. So for example, the Kindle Paperwhite is an excellent e-reader for that. It's have an excellent night light. The Kindle Basic doesn't have that, so that is not as good to have when reading at night. But for example, a Kobo, we have the Kobo Claro 2E here. That is an excellent e-reader too, with an excellent night light. The same with the Onyx Books Palma. It has an excellent night light that you can use when reading at night. So start reading books when you are in bed before you go to sleep, because that is also great for your health. To read before you go to bed. It's also great for your sleep, so you don't have any sleep problems. It's great to read books before you go to sleep. And the last part is that you should use an app that is excellent to sync between all your devices. Because if you use an app or a device that can sync to all your devices you have when reading. If you have more ebook readers like I do, or if you have some smartphones, Android-based phones, or Android-based e-readers, Kobo e-readers, Kindle e-readers, then it's important to have an app that can sync between all your devices, because if you can sync the reading progress between the devices, then that will help with you reading more books, because it will be easier to switch between all the devices. So for example, when I wake up in the morning and go to work, I have this Onyxbox Palma with me in my bag, or my pocket, and it depends on the weather actually. So I have this with me, and when I'm at work I read on this. When I have a break, for example the lunch break and so on, and when I come home I can easily switch from this device to my Kindle Basic, for example, because I use the Kindle app on this, or the co-reader app, it depends. But if I use the Kindle app on this, I can sync the reading progress, the highlights, notes, everything, bookmarks, everything to my Kindle e-reader. So I can start reading on these, the Kindle Paperwhite or the Kindle Basic, when I'm at home, at the same exact place that I have when I read this at work. So if I use the Kindle app on this, I can easily sync to 8 devices. I can sync to my 8 devices I have. This depends on how many devices you have, of course. You can have 100 devices and sync between all if you have that. But I can sync my reading progress between 8 devices. That's quite impressive. And if I do the same with the Onyxbox Palma but uses co-reader instead as the app I'm reading in, then I can sync to 6 devices. So if I use Kindle, I can sync to 2 more devices. So I can sync to 8 devices with Kindle app. I can sync to 6 devices with the co-reader app. So that is also depending on which devices you have and so on. So if I use co-reader on this, I can easily come home and pick up my Kindle Clara 2e, for example, and start reading on that one. Uses co-reader. I have installed co-reader on this, so I can sync between the co-reader app on this with the Kobo Clara 2e on this. So I can easily do that, or I can use the Libra H2O and do the same in co-readers. I can sync between that, or the Bigme B751C here, if you have that device, you can sync to that, and so on. But you can't sync between co-reader on this Kobo. You can't sync that with a Kindle Paperwhite, for example. That's not possible, because the Kobo here uses either the Kobo software, and you can sync that to the Kindle, or the co-reader software that I use, that I have installed, and then you can't sync to a Kindle. You can't sync between those devices. It's impossible. But on an Android phone, like this on Nexus 6P, for example, I can install co-reader. I can install Kindle app on this, and I can use the Kindle app or the co-reader app in total sync with 7 other devices. I can sync between my Kindle Paperwhite, Kindle Basic, Onyxbox Reader, and so on, if I read on an Android smartphone. And the same thing if I use my iPhone here. I can't use co-reader on an iPhone, unfortunately, but I can use the Kindle app with excellent results, excellent user experience. I can read books in the Kindle app on my iPhone or iPad, and I can sync where I left off from my iPhone to my Kindle Basic easily. I can pick up the Kindle Paperwhite in sync with my iPhone very easily, and I can also use the Onyxbox Palma with the Kindle app in total sync with my iPhone very easily, and I can use the Bigme Highbreak in total sync with the Kindle app on my iPhone, and I can use the Bigme B751C in total sync with my iPhone, and That is awesome. And I have a smartphone from Samsung too. I can sync that too. And I can use Samsung DeX on that phone and read on a larger display, for example, in total sync with the Kindle app or the co-reader app. It's amazing actually. So to make you read even more, it's important that you have an app that can sync to all your devices you want to have when reading. So to summarize this, it's important to always have a device with you. For example, with an ultra portable e-reader like the Onyx Books Palma, or you can also have a Kindle Basic always with you easily in a pocket on your jacket, for example, or in a bag. You can easily have a Kindle Basic with you, or you can have the Kobo Clara 2e easily with you. They are quite small, so you can have them with you and read everywhere you go. You can read on the toilet, you can read on the bus, you can read in a line when waiting for something, you can read in your office at lunch break, for example. So that's very important. And you should also stop watching television, and you should stop listening to podcasts. It's very important. And you should read in bed when you go to sleep, and a lot more. So I have talked about everything now in this video. 7 ways to make you read more books. I hope you like this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Okay. Bye.